And all right, there we go. There we go. Um, all right, what's up, man? How you doing?
Pretty good, pretty good. Just finding out how much the florist wants to do some basic stuff, so that's ridiculous.
Nice.
Yeah, dude, wedding planning freaking sucks. It's just the worst.
I completely agree, and I tried to. So I did the hey, you can do as much of it as you want. You let me know what you need me to take care of. When we did it, and that seemed to work out pretty well.
Yeah, I unfortunately am not the one who worked full time, so
Uh,
I was the one stuck doing all of it. And because once I was pretty sure I was going to be moving up here, I asked, "Hey, can we do the wedding there in
Here,
Arizona?"
yeah,
Yeah, and she said yes. And I was like, all right, cool, you know? And so because of that, then it was basically just all left up to me because she said she didn't even want a big wedding. And I was like, I just have a lot of friends.
right.
I have a lot of people that are important to me, and I could just do something with like family and a few close friends, but uh, that's not what I wanted. So I wanted a little bit bigger of a wedding, and then it makes me regret it. I wish we just got married here because the church would have been free, the
Really?
pastor would have been free. Yeah, because we could have just gotten married at her the Lutheran church that she's a member of or whatever,
Okay.
and then we would have been able to get married there, and then we would have had the rehearsal dinner or whatever at her parents' house.
Yeah, yeah.
And they have good land and stuff, so it's it really is just one of those things where it would have cost us a lot less. So it is unfortunate that it's so when we first started out, I guess her sister did their wedding for 10,000. I was like,
Okay.
that's ridiculous. We're gonna do it for less than that.
Yeah.
We're over 10,000 now.
Oh, dang, man.
With
I think we did ours for 8.
and it makes sense that so I think your sis got married 10 years ago. That
Yeah.
prices would be different, you
Sure. Yeah.
know.
Yeah. Makes sense.
Yeah, inflation plus there was a recession going on at the time, so things were probably companies had to go a little bit cheaper with stuff to make it work. So, but it's just one of those things where, and we thought we'd had a lot of stuff figured out, and then there's kind of a wrinkle in everything, and so it's just it's expensive, and so yeah,
I
but
still feel like you got a lot of time though, right? You got till October.
yeah, the problem is so there's things like rentals that we're we just don't want to lose that,
Yeah, yeah.
if we really want it. So um yeah, it's whatever.
I'm sure it's all
It's
gonna work out, man. And you guys are
yeah,
gonna.
I'm excited for the day. It's
Yeah,
just all the play there are so many nights where we're sitting there, we have dinner together or something, and then we spend a couple hours just doing wedding stuff.
yeah, yeah. I
It,
remember poring over menus for way too long.
yeah.
And then finally realizing, you know what? Let's just do this. That's fine. This will be good.
Hmm.
It's not gonna. People aren't gonna talk about the food ever.
Yeah.
But in doing that, I lost my ice cream bar. But that's fine. We didn't need an ice cream bar.
Yeah.
All right, man. So we're gonna talk about Game of Thrones, and we're gonna talk a little bit about a game day that we recently just had. My name is Bence from www.dropthedice.com. With me today is the Game of Thrones aficionado of the group and BGG expert, Alfie.
Also Northern Frozen North correspondent.
Is a North correspondent. I like
It's no
that
longer
one.
frozen here. It's actually beautiful, but
Is it really?
we went through the long night here, and Arya Stark fortunately came out, and we have sun again.
That's very clever and probably better writing that we've seen lately. But that kind of
Yeah,
telegraphs my thoughts.
yeah,
So we're going to talk about the latest episode, which is called The Bells. We'll touch really briefly on the episode before that because we didn't record one about it, which I think kind of talks about our thoughts about that episode.
yeah.
Right?
Ding dong.
So before we get to, so let's do that really quick. I thought the one before this is just another filler episode. I mean, we've had so many of them.
It reminded me a little bit of the second episode. There was stuff I liked in there and stuff that was just kind of didn't matter to me.
That I think my problem with this one was No, like, dude, I like the second episode. I think it was
Dude,
just
the writing is just so bad on this
the
show.
character beats here were just horrible, and we'll get to some stuff. But like, why Braun's scenes in every episode so far have been pointless.
Yeah, that was stupid.
And
that would have made
especially once
sense.
we get to the bells and Braun's nowhere to be found. Like
Braun's
that guy,
nowhere to be-
he better not come back in the last episode.
Yes. I don't want to see. Real quick, do you want to see an epilogue like at the very end?
I guess
Like something to kind of see, because it's like we're not. I doubt we're gonna see Asha again in this show. Or Yara, I guess her name is in the show.
Yeah.
Right, but it'd be nice to kind of see what happened to some people.
I think that might be interesting, almost like a 6 Feet Under ending.
I haven't seen the ending of that. I think of Harry Potter when I think of an epilogue.
Okay, yeah, sure.
Yeah,
like
hopefully not as shitty as that epilogue, but
I'd be fine with that, and I have some ideas for how the show can maybe not redeem itself, but kind of like I think my best hope at this point.
Right, I agree. I don't think the show has any redemption left, but I do feel like that there could be ways to make it not quite so bad. And I was thinking about this at work the other day of I feel kind of bad, not really, because I mean they're the ones who did it to themselves, but after the first few seasons of this show, it was literally a cultural phenomenon. You would have said that Benioff and Weiss were they directed and creators of the greatest television show of all time, probably. You know,
Sure.
They would go down as that. Brian Cogman, one of the best writers. These guys writing this show would go down as writing the best TV show ever. And it's your legacy is gonna be worse than how people remember the ending of Lost.
Oh yeah.
Because it is so bad.
Yeah, and it's not like people still thought, and I mean, you can find out on our other podcast how much I actually think Lost did it right. But in the last season of Lost, people were still into it the whole time.
Right.
They just thought that last episode didn't do what they needed to do.
Right. I'm also fine with the ending of Lost as well. I just
I
know
right.
that that's used as something that people hate.
But this is a whole art, and then I mean, that's probably all we need to say about the second to last episode, right? It really was just kind of there. I think the bells, you get something that you mentioned last year, and I really didn't take to heart, is that you really start to see the problems in writing last season. And you're kind of
last season?
Yeah. Did it start before that?
It's been a couple seasons, yeah.
I mean, you said it a lot where you're like, man, they forgot how to write Littlefinger.
Yeah, it was the dialogue. They got really bad at writing like that. The Littlefinger's thing, I think it was last season was it last season that he gets killed?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, where he says to Sansa something about I play a game and I think of all my enemies and everything that they could do, and it's what the hell are you saying, dude? You sound like you're high right now. You know,
yeah.
and so it was not only though have they shown that they can't write dialogue for certain characters, it's and I think part of it's they got caught up in their own legacy with something like that. They got caught up in this Littlefinger's this mastermind spinning a web constantly and ends up getting caught in it. But he's supposed to be highly intelligent. He's not somebody who shows his hand, and they just got caught up in kind of their own I think they got caught up in their own glory type thing, and then just are falling so flat, so they can't write dialogue, they can't write plot, and they don't know how to bring you to a place organically.
Yeah, that is really the way to put it. I think what do you think about the idea that people keep saying that since the end of the books, the writers haven't been able to handle it?
I think that's the case. I think the reason that the first seasons were so good is not because the source material. I don't think the books are gonna be poorly written. I think the books. Well, I think what happened is probably what's gonna happen in the books.
Probably.
I think Daenerys will probably go crazy or whatever and burn King's Landing, and I think some of that stuff is probably how it's gonna happen. But I think that it's gonna feel that's how it's supposed to happen as you go through.
Right. And I think that's such a big problem with this. And I do have more personal. So I think this last episode might have been better than The Long Night. I do have more personal issues with it because I'm just not the biggest fan of the Mad Queen storyline.
Okay.
But that's just
Because you don't. Is it because you don't want her to go bad, or
go bad. I thought it was
okay.
much more interesting for her to like essentially deal with this inherent insanity just for being a Targaryen, and like I liked her internal struggle back and forth with that.
Yeah,
I never really wanted her to succumb to that. That's my personal problem, though. That has nothing to do with good writing or bad writing. But
right.
I do think they spent a lot of time showing her keeping those demons at bay, and then decided in 4 episodes, let's knock those pillars down.
And I don't think that and I think, and it's something I texted you of. I think Game of Thrones is at an interesting place because the source material isn't finished. We don't know
Right.
the ending of the books. So in Harry Potter, right? That's the best thing I can think, because I never read the Lord of the Rings books, and those are like the big fantasy series in my mind,
Right.
that are adapted. In Harry Potter, there are things that they cut out. And then you watch the movies, you're like, oh man, like I'm disappointed. I didn't really like this movie that much because I really like these parts in the book or whatever. But at the end, you're like, I see how we got here, and
Right.
it all kind of works as movies. Game of Thrones, like, can't do that. It's not allowed to cheat. It's not allowed to cheat its way to the end
Right.
because we don't know the ending. So we're learning the ending from you. So you have to earn it. You have to earn everything. And like, I agree with, like, there are things I didn't want. I didn't want Jaime to go back to Cersei. That's a personal thing.
No, fuck that. I think that's horrible writing.
I think and here's what it is. I think it's horrible writing, how it happened, and that there are certain things that do not make sense. It seemed, why have any of the Bronze stuff? Why have any of the Bronze stuff if you're going to have Jaime go back to her?
There's like 1 or 2 people at work who actually like this season, and even they say the Bronze stuff is ridiculous.
Right, but it didn't have to be. It could have made sense, and if it was like Jaime leaves Winterfell to literally go like to confront Cersei or something, but like sees her, and then it's just like, it was always you and me.
Yeah.
It's like,
no,
what?
Fuck that. You literally betray 7 seasons of character growth.
Yeah.
Like, Jaime was such an interesting character because he's kind of this dick who like has incest with his sister, gave birth to these horrible kids, and spent 7 years redeeming himself, losing a hand, like going through all this stuff, and realizing that he's actually better than this.
Right. And sleeping with Brienne, it's like, that's the worst thing you could have done. You know? Like, you literally like slept with Brienne and the next day left her.
Yeah, which
I go be with your sister.
With Brienne, but the moment he decides to go back to Cersei, I was like, "This is bullshit."
Right, that's where it's like, no, this doesn't make sense. Like, it's like character assassination,
basically. Right? And I don't think Jaime would have done that.
Right, and it's like, I'm fine if you want to make Jaime decide that he's all in with Cersei, that like all he ever truly cared about was her.
Right.
Fine. Okay, but don't have him do something like that then. Don't have him do something, don't have him go, like, take Brienne's virginity just to then, like, have him turn his back on her,
No, and I think that's super out of character for at least what we've seen. Yeah,
it didn't make any sense at all. And that's the stuff where it's like, there's so much that they tried to build up that it's not working. Daenerys doesn't willy-nilly decide that she's gonna burn a bunch of innocent people.
Right. Like, and just because I do like the line that she says that, like, no one loves me here, like,
right,
they all love you. That's cool. And
then kill Jon.
Yeah, but like, I like that idea, but that's not, dude, like, there's no way you went through all that shit in Essos just to come over here, hit one roadblock, and like give up.
Right. It does not make any sense at all. It would have made sense.
She took down city after city. Like, no, that's bullshit.
Yeah. And think about when she locked up her dragons because they like killed a little girl.
Yeah, yeah.
You locked them up in a pyramid because they killed a little girl, and then you decide you're gonna burn down an entire city. It would have made sense if they had done something to show her triggered, like she's going through and she's going through and like she burns something and like a wildfire explosion like kills some of her men.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And then she goes nuts or whatever and starts like burning everything down. And then people are throwing down their swords and saying, "Ring the bell, we surrender," or whatever. And she just keeps going. Okay,
That
fine.
would have
At
made
least,
sense. Yeah, I
at
still
least
think
she
it was
got triggered.
bad, but that would have been more sense if she had already started going crazy. Then they're struggling to ring the bells.
Right. But her like literally chilling there, and then everybody surrendered. She hears them. The bells start ringing, and then she goes, "Nah," and just starts killing everything in her way. And instead of just going straight for the Red Keep
Yeah.
to burn down the thing, she goes through and
Periodic.
burns the whole town, dude.
Like, dude, up the street, down the street, up the street, down the street. Like, that's so fucking wild to me. And I'll go ahead and do this because I don't want to just like shit on the show. I think Amelia Clark's face when they show her trying to decide what she's gonna do is great acting.
I think she's killing the acting. I think it's the writing that's bad.
Like, dude, she looked like she was really dealing with some shit.
Yeah,
And it just sucks that she's in this spot. I realized Cersei maybe said 3 lines this season.
yeah. I guess she talks to has the scene where she talks to Euron,
And then
and
it has the scene
then
where she like at the wall.
yeah,
I
yeah,
thought that I didn't even realize that until she died. And I was like, man, that kind of sucks for Lena Headey. Like, this could have been like a really awesome season for her.
right.
Um,
I
I think that so okay, so let's keep going with that. Like, I don't think Grey Worm would have made the decision he made to kill that guy.
I think he would have. I think that, and I wish they would have shown something more. But when you see it's Daenerys, Grey Worm, and Tyrion says like, if they ring the bells, like let them surrender.
Right.
And then she gives a nod to Grey Worm. She like kind of she kind of gives like a resigned look and like gives a nod to Grey Worm, and he goes, "I would have loved if you would have seen something that would have said like him basically understanding that like."
What it's not going to be the bells.
You listen to me. You listen to me. You don't listen
yeah.
to bells type thing.
And like I know that's the argument for it. This guy's like one of the best soldiers ever. Like, and he's shown to have honor. I know they killed Missandei, but I don't think he would have been for all that wanton destruction.
I think he would have because I think he follows Daenerys and I think he does whatever Daenerys wants him to. And as soon as he sees her
I would
like
love
decide that she doesn't care about surrender, then like it made sense. He picked up his spear and threw it. I would have liked to see some. I would have liked Jon to say something to the northern armies of like, if this doesn't go as planned, like you do not kill surrendered people, you don't kill the villagers, like.
Right.
And I would have loved to see something along the lines of like when you see like he's trying to yell like pull back and Grey Worm's fighting and he like looks at him. I would have loved to see something of like those two fight or something like that, you know, of like Grey Worm being like, you're betraying Daenerys and you know, he's just like trying to be honorable or whatever. But it's like I don't know how anyone survives. How is not everyone put to death now?
I definitely think oh yeah, I don't know.
Like with what they just did with Daenerys will absolutely burn Jon. Like
yeah.
Why would she not protect her claim or whatever?
And what does she rule over now?
Yeah. Nothing. What, like I guess the Seven Kingdoms? I don't know, man.
Well, okay, so there's stuff that I'll get to in a second here. I still got a little bit more. What did you think about Arya and the Hound?
I like what he says to her.
Yeah, I've actually liked everything with them this season.
Yeah, I liked that they rode off together to kill Cersei and the Mountain. I like when he says to her like, "Go home," you know, like this is what you're gonna end up like. And she always hated him. She always ridiculed him, and she knows she doesn't want to be like him. It's like it was kind of that wake up call. And I think a couple times like Arya will kind of fall into this, like she'll fall into almost like her demon is the fact that she's like kind of like a serial killer.
Right.
She like enjoys killing people and enjoys this idea of like death and vengeance and things like that. But I think there's still things right when she met legs like I'm Arya Stark of Winterfell or whatever, instead of being no one anymore. I like that like there are things that bring her back to like her humanity, and I like that the Hound was able to like save her in that way.
I couldn't care less about Clegane Bowl, but it was cool to see.
Yeah,
I wasn't looking to it.
I think the way it was described best was I think I heard something that said it was like out of an anime or whatever. And I was like, oh, okay, yeah, that was actually a good call.
So I thought, do you remember in Ocarina of Time, at the end of once you beat Ganon, you have to run down the castle?
Never played it.
Go ahead. So it's like same thing, right? A castle's falling, and you have to run down like the Tower of the Red Keep almost, where you have to run down the circular stairs. Yeah. And that's exactly what it looked like because it's all like smoky effects.
Yeah.
And you can see like two people fighting. It was fine. I actually liked Kyburn's death.
Oh, getting like smashed. Yeah, that was interesting.
I like Cersei kind of being like, you two got this? Okay, I'm gonna just like walk over here.
Yeah, her like sneaking around the hound like carefully of like, yeah. I thought that was good.
What did you think about Varys' death in the very beginning?
I think he earned his death. Yeah.
Sure, I didn't see that coming.
Really?
No.
Oh, I think it's the same. Like I have a bad. So I guess real quick. This is kind of going towards next week's episode, but like, there's only two ways it ends, and that's Daenerys killing everybody that matters, or them killing her, because it's like Tyrion's going to be put to death. Jon's probably going to be put to death. Sansa's going to be put to, she has no reason not to kill all of these people.
Right.
Now. And she's shown that she'll do it. So I think Jon has to kill her before everybody else dies. But with Varys, it was like he was betraying her. You know? Yeah. He did betray her.
Okay, maybe more pointless than Bronn. Harry Strickland and the Golden Company.
Dude, I found this article that was, I think it's called How the Bells Prove These 9 Storylines Didn't Actually Matter. And one of them was the fact that Harry Strickland, and it was like, why bring them in? Just have the Lannister army be bulky still.
That's what I said at work. Like, you could have done anything. You could have said, we actually got extra recruits from the leftover Tyrells.
Right, or like Martell. Apparently there's a new
people in our army.
Apparently there's a new Prince of Dorne. Have them side with them. Do anything.
Oh, yeah. So the new Prince of Dorne, I'm wondering if we're going to get anything next episode.
No, we're not going to see any Greyjoys anymore. We're not going to see Martell. We're not going to see anything anymore. There's no reason to.
But it's going to be Darkstar.
It's just like
no, but okay. One, is his name Harry Strickland in the book?
No, it's I don't even know if the leader has a name in the book.
So Harry Strickland does not belong in Game of Thrones as a name.
Yeah, true.
I kept thinking that was the name of the actor.
Oh.
Because it's such a modern name. So
it's a normal name.
Articles like, this season we'll see Harry Strickland and the Golden Company. I thought they meant, this Harry Strickland guy, the actor, he's going to be the guy leading the Golden Company. But holy shit! I could not believe that. That you talk about a slap in the face, dude. Like
that was
talk these people up for a couple seasons and then like
literally burn them, burn them all in a second. It was so bad. I mean, same thing with the Euron, dude.
Okay, so Euron was the other one. And I love his card so much.
Such a dork.
And and I was excited to see him in the show, and they never really did it right.
When you meet Euron on the bridge where he says like to Balon, like, I am the drowned god or whatever, like, or I am the storm god, like, he could have been a frightening character.
Yes.
And they turned him into Jack Sparrow. And it was so bad.
He's like scary in the books, right?
Yeah, so you don't see much of him. You know that he slept with his brother Victarion, who's not in the show. He slept with his wife, and then Victarion kills his wife, because why not? And Euron gets like basically banished by Balon.
Okay.
Euron goes and does all this stuff. shows up right after Balon dies. So it is kind of those things like people assume that he killed him, but like no one can prove it. I like in the show they just had that happen. And then you don't see much of him. He wins the King's Moot, and then there's a spoiled chapter from the next book where the littlest brother of the Greyjoy brothers, Aaron, who was like a priest for the Drowned God, he's
Yeah.
like the head prophet. He is in Euron's in a cell in Euron's boat, captured, and it is like supposed to be like extremely frightening.
Is that Aaron Dampier?
Yeah.
Okay.
So yes, Euron is like supposed to kind of be like a scary, scary person.
Right.
And they started that, and then they turned him into a rock star who cared about having sex and like killing people, and it just was so bad.
I thought his last scene was horrible.
With Jaime?
Yeah. Like,
yeah.
I get that Jaime that he can't fight anymore, at least not well, but that fight looks stupid.
Yeah.
Like, why can't Euron fight then? Like, I feel like Euron should have kicked his ass.
Yeah.
And then I don't get his whole like, oh, like I'll always be the guy who killed Jaime Lannister. Like, what?
Yeah.
Like, what? You talked about dialogue. Why would you say that?
Right.
You didn't kill him.
Yeah.
He's walking away from this fight.
Right. It doesn't. It was bad. That was bad. Euron was bad. But Euron's been bad for a long time. It was like the whole Martell storyline. That was all really bad too. You know, they just didn't know what to do with certain stuff. They probably should have just left Martell out of it.
Oh yeah,
have Marcella be killed in some other way.
Greyjoy out of it. You could have, but you'd be cutting out quite a bit.
Yeah, they could have left Martell out and like done a little more with Greyjoy.
Yeah, you probably really could have just had the Viper have his season and then not talked about Martell's.
Right, and then just not talked about it anymore since you didn't end up actually wanting to do anything with them other than have Marcella die.
Yeah, and then
you could have had her die a different way.
What is it? Cersei who has them all? No. Yeah, Cersei has everyone killed.
Yeah, no. So, the Sand Snakes all kill like Doran and stuff like that, and then they go. Euron kills a couple of them, and she takes Ilaria and Tyene and like poisons Tyene, and Ilaria was imprisoned. Never saw them again.
Yeah, that's right.
It's just stuff that they just, yeah. I mean, they really just like really dropped the ball with stuff.
All right, so let's talk about. I think that's most of the beats of the show. I mean, they're just rushing it, and they got one episode left, an hour and 20 minutes to pull it together. What would you like to see, and what do you think is going to happen?
I would like to see Jon kill Daenerys. Okay. I would like to see Tyrion survive. I'd like to see a bit of an epilogue that maybe shows how things are gonna shake up in the future.
Dude, epilogue, Dark Star.
Okay, there you go, Prince of Dorne. I don't know how they're gonna do anything other than like Daenerys ruling, though. There just isn't enough time. There's not enough time of like you have the Unsullied and whatever's left of the Unsullied and the Dothraki that like just follow her. They do not like Jon. They don't have a love for Jon the way like the people of Westeros do.
Right.
If anything happens to Daenerys, they're gonna pillage the crap out of everything.
Yeah. So I think they're at an impasse.
They're at an impasse unless they just want more shitty writing and have them be like, okay, we're gonna go home now, and Dothraki get on boats and sail back across the Essos, and then and the Unsullied go to or like a guard or whatever, and I don't know, dude. It like I cannot imagine what they're gonna do next because it doesn't make any sense.
So they're not gonna. I doubt they would do it, but I would almost love them to shoot 5 years in the future.
Yeah.
And we see like Grey Worm in a fucking Kingsguard outfit.
Yeah.
It's not gonna happen though.
I feel like I could see Daenerys calling Sansa to King's Landing. Almost like I think my problem is like they're basically mirroring like her father of like Eris
Right. So
arrested.
here's what I think. I think that John. So for a while, I thought, okay, it would be cool if those letters that Varys was sending out got to the people and everyone rallies behind John.
I assume that's what's going to happen.
So you have the rest of the armies of the North rallying behind John. I don't want to see another battle, or rather, I don't need to. I'm fine.
I don't think we will.
And so I said, it would be cool if all these people rally behind John, and John finally, and he knows now that he's got to sack up and take control.
Mm-hmm.
So he essentially marches on Dany and more or less tells her, like, hey, it's over. And that's kind of how the show ends.
Yeah.
So I thought that, and then my friend at work was like, you know what's probably even more likely is that Dany kills John, and then Sansa basically has the armies of the North march on Dany, and like you essentially have the beginning of the show again, where like the North is rebelling against Targaryen.
Yes, and that's what I think is most likely. Of like, Robert's Rebellion started because Lyanna gets kidnapped. Brandon Stark, Ned's older brother, goes to King's Landing and demands like a one-on-one duel with Rhaegar. Eris arrests him, calls their dad down to King's Landing. He goes. He gets burned alive while Brandon is like being like choked type thing.
Yeah.
And it's one of those things where it's whatever he needs to get, like the water, whatever, is just out of reach, and so he strangles himself trying to get it. And then Robert's Rebellion starts. And like for me, I'm like, that's exactly what's going to happen. John's going to be a whatever, and then Sansa's going to come down. Like Arya or John has to kill Daenerys.
No, I'm actually fine with her living if it's like it's a foregone conclusion that she's going to die at this point.
I don't know.
Like if at the end of the show, like let's say like it's clear that she needs to surrender.
Yeah.
You know, and then the show kind of goes, and then we get our epilogue. So then I was thinking the other thing that would be cool is, aside from seeing Martell and whatever's left, is Mace. Mace isn't alive either, huh?
None of the Tyrells are left. Yeah, none of the Martells are left.
I would like to see Sam doing something because he was the best character on the season.
Yeah.
But I would love, and I actually have no idea how they're going to close out Bran, or maybe he's done too. I would love for us to follow up with Tormund, and he's kind of walking north with his crew. Maybe they're at the wall.
And Ghost.
Huh?
And Ghost is chilling with them.
That's also stupid. Come on, man. Go pet your dog.
Yeah, that was rough too.
And
then Rhaegal just dies while you're not even there.
But then you hear like a rustling, and you realize that there's still White Walkers.
Oh, that'd be sick if there's kind of a hint of like the fact that like the others can never truly be like totally defeated.
Right, like you killed the one guy.
I think that they're just gonna go away from that. I think that the other storyline, I think the idea is that they're supposed to actually be gone, and like now civilization can progress towards like what we have today type thing, you know, like towards a more civilized society, whatever. It's just like.
So, and then here's
we should know exactly what's going to happen in the final episode.
This season has been so bad that I feel like the last episode is somehow going to be worse than I could even imagine.
Probably because
we keep saying, fuck that, if Bronn comes back, he's probably going to come back and take up like 10 minutes.
Yeah, and I mean, we talked about like they're at an impasse of like what they can do that actually makes sense. And that's the thing of like, I understand a twist in a show or whatever, or like doing something being like people being shocked, but then like you can see how like somebody got to that point, right?
Right.
We're watching this and we cannot see how they can make this like worthwhile at all.
No. And like, oh my God, just thinking about it, because they're trying to think of the worst thing possible. I think if Jon submits.
Yeah.
I
don't think he will.
Like, no, he better not, but who knows? Like, if he's just like, you know what? You're right. I'm cool with the deaths.
Yeah. I love that he wasn't willing to bang her.
Oh, that's cool.
That
Again,
was great.
he
That was
seems to be
great.
the only one that they're writing for.
I know, that was great. That it was like, one, he's probably not cool with banging his aunt. Two, he's seen that she's kind of crazy,
Yeah.
and it makes sense that he's like, not right now, you know?
Yeah. Oh, okay. So last thing before we move on to some cardboard, um, I feel like like especially with this last episode, that because we mentioned that they're making Tyrion not as clever.
Right. He's
I
stupid.
Sure. I feel like Peter Dinklage doesn't realize that.
Oh, you feel like Peter Dinklage is still trying to like Tyrion doesn't realize that he's not as smart as he used to be.
Yeah.
Yeah, could be. Could be.
Um. Oh, him and Jamie scene, solid.
Really good. Really good. And I know I read some criticism there saying like, why would Tyrion think he gets out of this alive? But I think Tyrion says of like, he's like, thousands of people were, versus one guy who's like messed up a lot. Like, that seems worth it to me. I think
Yeah.
Tyrion knows he's going to be put to death doing, with what he did.
Well, he said it versus one not so innocent imp.
Right. Yeah. So I know I'd read a lot of criticism about that, but I think that he is very much aware that like he's going to be killed for this no matter what.
Oh yeah, for sure. Also loved him telling Varys like, dude, it was me.
Yeah, that was interesting.
I like that a lot. All right, I think that's about it. I mean, we can just keep beating the show down, but
Yeah, it's trash.
yeah,
I'm still watching it, but
that's the problem. Okay, so I mean, and that's the thing though. It's like it's not even like in the realm of things. It's probably not horrible.
it's bad for the standard they created, right?
Yeah, that's it. And like at the start, I wasn't the biggest fan of the show to begin with, and then especially playing the card game and then rewatching it and like seeing how intricate those stories were, where you have to pay attention. You can't like be doing other shit while you watch Game of Thrones because there's so many characters introduced, there's so many relationships, there's so many subtleties going on between motivations and like shadow play.
Right.
And then to see it reduced to just surface level stuff is sad. Like there is no subtlety anymore. And that's the biggest thing is like it's a fine show, but it's not what it was. It's not like it's still appointment television because we want to see what happens, but not like it used to be.
Right. And I think I'm to a thing where it's like anything these guys do afterwards, I'm not really interested in.
Well, and that's what I was actually excited to see what they could do to Star Wars with like how well they were writing characters, and now
Are they doing Star Wars?
Yeah.
I thought they were. Did their Confederate show get canceled?
Yeah.
Oh, because there's a lot of uproar about it.
Yeah.
That's interesting. I feel like
it got canceled. I think it definitely got put on the back burner, and then I don't remember if they're doing the prequels, like because they started filming the show with Naomi Watts already.
Okay.
And I think it takes place in the past.
Well, yeah, the Age of Heroes.
Oh, okay.
I think it's called The Long Night or something like that. How did oh crap, what's the name of it's on Amazon.
Man in the High Castle?
Man in the High Castle. How did that like not get the same criticism that Confederate did?
I don't know, maybe because like Man in the High Castle doesn't really deal with like Holocaust stuff as much as
right, but it just deals with the fact that the Nazis won.
Yeah,
Nazis in like fascist Japan.
Yeah, whereas like the Confederate stuff was like, oh, like the South won and slavery is still around.
Okay.
I think I'm just guessing too.
Sure. I remember thinking that of being like, wait a second, and I think a lot of it is, like social, like virtue signaling in some way.
Yeah.
You know, and especially black versus white is like racial stuff in America right now is like very, kind of at a peak, you know, and so like, you know, I understand having kind of a strong view on that. So,
all right, let's take a quick break and we'll come back and we'll talk about some board games.
I'm gonna go take a piss.
I'm gonna get a couple of coffee.
All right, sounds good.
All right.
All right.
You ready?
Yep.
Cool. All right, we're back. So this past weekend we had our first game day in quite a while. We were lucky enough that Alfie was able to join us. So nice 5-player day.
Yeah, that was super nice. A lot of fun. I was glad to be back in town.
So you and Bud specifically wanted to play something pretty crunchy.
Did I?
You said you wanted to play some hard stuff.
Did I?
Yeah.
I don't remember that. You're gonna have to send me a screenshot. I think I asked you what are games. One thing I was like big on it. I said like, what games are, what games like create experiences? You know.
You did say that. That was towards the end.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, if you didn't, Bus definitely wanted to play something hardcore.
Yeah, and we did.
And we did. So we played Feudum, which is a monster box and kind of a beast of a game that you're essentially these nobles in some sort of medieval land kind of vying for influence over these different guilds. And the more influence you get, at some point you need to start taking these necessary actions to kind of appease the king, which I thought was an interesting mechanic where if you're able to like the lands that you rule, if they get big enough, then the king starts to expect stuff from you, which I actually really like that part thematically.
It makes sense too, yeah.
So I thought a lot of the minutia of the game, I thought a lot of the stuff that made it fiddly, when you thought about it, made thematic sense outside of the beads and the chickens.
Thematic sense?
Like the way that we kept trying to figure out how the serfs and subjects and rulers work.
Sure. I see what you're saying.
That and once I just remember there was a moment where once I realized, oh, like you can never be a serf to your own land. So it would always have to be this way. This relationship would always have to be this way. I
Mm-hmm.
thought that worked really well. Um, the game itself, you have 11 action cards. You pick 4 of them, and then it's kind of like program management that way. But then you can play those 4 in any order you want on your turn
Right,
as you guys go around.
which was cool. It was like Glass Road has that similar thing, right? Where you have your cards and then
Mm-hmm.
except you can like double on sides. But it has that similar thing where you choose from your cards the ones you want to play this turn, and then you can choose which card you play in what order. You get to choose your actions how you want to, which is nice because you don't know what other people's cards are. The way you have Tricerion, right? You're able to see, I think, what everyone's options are. And
Yeah,
then
you
you
can
can
see
see,
them.
oh, I know you want to go downtown, so I need to go downtown first because that's the most important thing or whatever.
Right, and I can't afford to pay this much if I have to go to the secondary spot.
Right. This adds a little more mystery and guessing element to that, but I know there were times where I was factoring that in where I was like, okay, I feel like someone is probably going to go to, like, someone might go to this guild or try to buy from the trader, the merchant or whatever. I was like, if I wanted to use his guild thing or the guild that pulls from his, I need to make sure I do that quickly before people start buying everything,
Yeah, and then I was so close to Dolby and Z-Man that I was like, shit, okay, like I need to go here and put influence down
Mm-hmm.
first, or someone's gonna come in and take that from me.
Right.
So sometimes
Yeah.
I would. So and then that happened a couple times where someone would do something to kind of lock down that space. So it's like shit. Well, that's not a turn wasted, but now I got to figure out. Okay, I'll go over here now. I was
Right.
going to use this movement somewhere else, but I'll just go here and it'll be fine.
Definitely, yeah. Influence was another one where I had to think about when I would choose it in my hand. I'd have to think about like, okay, when do I use this? Because maybe you were setting up. You're like, oh, I'm going to move and then influence, right? That's a good
Right.
little
And
chain
then
you can
there
do.
was one turn where I was gonna pull my last guy onto the board so that I could drop 3 influence, but I forgot what happened. But it was either
Mhm.
risk doing that and lose the spot where I wanted to put one of my influence, or play it and then only put down 2 influence.
Right, right. And I do like that, especially towards the end of the game. I felt like it truly did matter what order you did your actions in.
Oh yeah.
Whereas earlier I wasn't thinking too much about it. I was kind of just thinking about it personally of like, well, I want to move and then influence or whatever, guild and then I want to repeat, but I felt like towards the end, like it mattered what order you did them in because of other people as well.
Yeah. I liked the guilds a lot, as much as I never fully felt like I got a good hold on how to use them properly.
Yeah, yeah. It was. They were a little fiddly, right? But any game that's super complex, you're gonna have things like that.
Yeah, and like that, there's just so many options there. So there's 11 action cards with one being a double, and then most of them have an advanced action, and then the guild action itself opens up 18 other actions.
Mm-hmm. Well, and within there, 18 other actions plus potentially 6 other ones if you're the guild master or the apprentice or whatever.
So that's it. So it opens up 6 actions, and each of those actions have 3 actions possible on it.
Right.
Wow, which essentially 2 of them are push and pull, always. But each push and pull is different depending on which guild you're doing.
Right, right. It was, and the push and pull stuff. That's the part where I felt like it was most fiddly, and I get how it was working. But like you don't have to refill every single round.
Yeah.
And instead, you're like taking the resources that are on the board and moving them around, in a way. But I feel like it would have made more sense if, like, when we used resources, they went to the farm or something like that. That then there was more stuff available. And I know it does reset. I think at H3.
Yeah.
But that was the push and pull, and that stuff is a little weird.
Yeah. And I wish I would have done more of that.
Mm-hmm.
But I think the ships were one of the weirder mechanics in the game.
Yeah, I agree.
I almost It's fine. I don't. I like it as a guild where you have to like build them like by using certain materials. I thought that was
Mhm.
like a cool mechanic, but to actually have be forced to use specific ships on the board at certain places, I thought was a little weird. I almost
I agree.
wish it was like anytime there was water, you could pay for the ferry, or anytime there was flight, you just had to pay extra to jump in a helicopter.
Yeah, and I feel like they could have done something else with that instead of having to build those types of materials. Things like buying a seal that allows you to get across this area, right? They want it
Yeah,
to be They want exclusive areas in like the mountains or whatever. And so I get like wanting, okay, you need a king seal to pass over there,
yeah, yeah.
or a ferry you have to pay to like get across or whatever. Or you have to pay a wood once you get to the ocean to like get to an island. You have to pay a wood. You know.
I did think that like most games where you deal with getting points based on majorities, that it's impossible to spread yourself thin. So you get like there were probably 3 out of the 6 guilds where all of us were kind of doing certain things with, but then I think you were the only one who had someone on the religious guild.
Yeah, Zach got someone on, and then I burned his feudum down.
Yeah,
So, yeah, and that was the only thing he had. So I was the only one that ever. That was the first one I put out. I put out a dude, a cross dude, and just stayed on it the whole time game.
right. And I don't think that's a bad part of the game, but that's like a I always wonder how I feel about games where I should have gone there or somebody needed to go there to check you because you just were just going to get points.
Right, and they could have. I think, and I don't know if it was. I think it part of it is the advanced actions. People seemed like they were putting out pawns so that they could get advanced actions. I was putting out pawns to get on guilds
Oh yeah, me
and
too.
try to vie for those that
I was
power.
trying
And
to
I could
I know Z-Man like putting out the alchemists so he could get like he could drop his guys wherever,
right
and then the
and so
merchant lets you do something too.
so I could be wrong in that they were using the dice, the pawns as for the actions themselves and not for the guilds. But that was the only thing I was doing was I um put out I had 2 pawns and I had 1 feudum, so I could get on 3 guilds or whatever. And I think I might have added a third pawn towards the end, but uh yeah, to me that was like it was just about getting on certain guilds and vying for power, and I did that. I pretty quickly, I think the feudum I put out was the gear,
Yeah, that's the
whichever
alchemist.
alchemist. I put that out because it was just Zach and Mark, and I was
Yeah,
like, okay, well, I can maybe get on here too and try to, because that way they're not just gaining points from this every turn, and
exactly.
they have a little competition. So yeah, that one, I think you were on the Knights one for a while, and no one else was on there.
Yeah, it took a while for people to kind of come in and check me there. I liked that like in Scythe and like in Empires of the Void, like in games where like you have fighting, but it's not necessary really. Like
Right,
you probably need to do one fight for the whole game just to minimize some of the points you're going to lose,
right. Well,
and that's
one,
only if you
maybe
have a
two.
feudum.
Yeah, yeah.
So like I had that one, and then I ended up losing my feudum, and I didn't even really need it.
Hmm.
Um, so I liked that. I always like. I mean, I hate a game that can go so hard into fighting that you just lose everything.
Right, like a game that's truly a combat game.
Well, unless that's the game, you know.
Sure, sure. I understand what you're saying. Like a game that has Euro mentalities, but if you can just get wiped out type thing by, and I do like that you theoretically you only have to do 3 conquerors all game and you're good to go.
Yeah,
Because the only purpose for conquering, well, there's two. One is so you don't get negative points if you have a feudum. The other is to knock someone else's points down.
right.
And that's why I attacked Zach was he was the only one I felt could make a run towards me. And so I figured, okay, if I can conquer a feudum, I can both get rid of 6 negative points I was going to get,
Yeah,
and I can knock him off because he was then on. He got onto my guild, and so it was another 2 points I was going to lose, and 5 points he was going to get. So that's why I tried to, and I saved my combat. I had the combat on the last round, and I just saved it towards the end until I knew, okay, can I for sure win this?
Yeah.
And that's the thing is because what defenders win ties,
Yeah.
but defenders can't do anything to up their level.
No, because you can't pay saltpeter or anything like that.
Right, right.
What did you think about? What did you think about the time mechanic? I thought this was really cool.
Oh, how it it was weird. I thought that was weird. The way the landscapes work. That was kind of weird to me, yeah.
I like that, like, oh, so you improve, like, I like that, like, you take actions and that moves the game forward.
Yeah.
I like things like that.
Yeah, I think I like, because there isn't necessarily then a set number of rounds. There's a like a minimum you'll have, or a maximum you'll have, or whatever. I
also liked how complicated it was to get resources. Like, you harvest on your farm, and then you send those
have to be sent to the farm, and then it has to be pulled from the farm
to the other guy, and then to the market, and then you have to go to the market.
That's part of the problem, right? Is if you're not the guild master, or not the guild master, if you're not the guy who can push on your thing, then on the merchant guild, then you can't guarantee that stuff's going to be put to the merchant for you to buy.
Yeah, I thought that was really cool, and
I think
I only went to the merchant once, because of that.
Yeah, I think I went twice to get a couple things, but yeah, it was just to like buy a couple. I might have only gone once. I don't remember.
I like games with feeding mechanics that aren't too brutal.
Yeah, and that one's not bad. One a thing.
Yeah, and you can only have 3 guys total, and there's ways to make it so they're fine for 2 rounds.
Yeah, the corn or whatever it is.
And sulfur, which turns into wine somehow. I liked that you start with enough stuff that you really don't even have to worry about feeding unless you're constantly moving people around until like the 4th turn.
Yeah, that's kind of how I felt about it too.
And then like I noticed I was running low on food, and so I think on turn 3, before I was even close to running out, I made a bid to get some more food, and then that was it. I was pretty much fine the rest of the game. What do you think the game would have been better if you didn't get to keep all your cards every round?
I think the game would have had to change for that to happen, because conquer and defend is 1 victory point if you don't use it.
Yeah.
Conquer can't be your last action, so then like you could like theoretically be like attacking something and then you just like lose, So I think that you're kind of forced to kind of go head to head then. So conquer and defend were like different types of actions or something like that. Like it was an option, right? You can either conquer or you can do like a double move or something like that. Then it allows you a little more flexibility there. And so then, yeah, that would be fine if it was like you have to use all your cards like in Glass Road before you get to reset them all.
What about the Epic Journey?
I never did it. So.
I thought the Epic Journey was one of another, like, along with the ships, I think that might have been the most extraneous part.
Yeah, it's just another way to get some extra points, I guess.
It reminds me of like some of Stefan Feld's games where there's like, oh, here's kind of how you win. There's also this thing on the side here, though, and if you manage to do that, you can get an extra 2 points.
Right. Yeah, I like that there are multiple ways to get victory points in this game. Every guild, pushing and pulling gets you victory points. Epic Journey gets you victory points. Defend gets you victory points. Being like influencing an area. So I do like that there are multiple areas you get it. That's just, to me, it's like, oh, you moved twice this turn? Oh, okay, you're going to get some points at the end of the game. Oh, okay.
It was one of those, like, I think I only moved up there a couple spots just to grab some points in the beginning. But then I wondered, like, oh, man, like, is it too much of a waste to focus on this that you're going to ruin yourself for the rest of the game?
I think it depends on what you're trying to do. Like, I didn't do a ton of moving. I tried to kind of consolidate in one area
Yeah.
to give my like pawns quick access to areas, and I kind of slowly spread up the Badlands and in the mountains. But I
Bus
don't.
had the right idea, man, because like I was all stuck in that next to the Badlands area in the mountains at the top, and there was like 3 of us there, and then Bus hopped on the ferry to get to the islands, and no one was fucking with him, so he could just do whatever he wanted.
Yeah, he was able to do really well on the islands, kind of by himself, secluded. And that center like top area and like the forest or whatever, that was like the hot spot. That's where like multiple feudums got burned down.
Yeah.
That's where most of the conquering was being done. I think and so I think that's I don't think you necessarily want to do a ton of like double moves in a turn. Like you're wasting possible guild actions. You're wasting.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. And like I think
you're wasting double influence or double other things that like really help you.
Yeah. Man, so what is that rating on BGG after all?
Feudum.
Yeah.
Let's see here.
Yeah, I mean, I got it a while. I wanted to kickstart it because I thought it looked amazing, and then I remember Rico saying that he thought it looked horrible.
4.55, which is I think the highest one you have in your collection.
It's got to be. Oh, you should
Madeira's up there. It's 4.27.
Wow. Sweet. I'm excited to get into weights.
Yeah, me too. I think that I think there's some interesting stuff there.
But man, yeah, I'm super stoked to have finally played Feudum. I probably couldn't have wished for a better situation. I think we needed to start it in the morning. I remember talking to Eric about it and being like, do you think I can pull this off? And he's like, yeah, you just got to be first. It's got to be first, no matter what happens.
Yeah, and it did. If we wanted to play it, it did have to. Cerebria is a 4.3. Can you explain that?
There's a lot of moving pieces.
Okay. Yeah, it did need to be first because we wouldn't have been able to play it later. I would have had to stop halfway through to leave. Unfortunately, I think it took us
4 hours.
3.5 hours, 4 hours to play and an hour of rules. So it took up the majority of the game day.
I was bummed about that. I was hoping we'd be done by 1.
Yeah, because then we would have had another like 4 to 4.5 hours to play games.
But we were able to get encrypted.
We did. We played Cryptid twice, which that took a while as well. Longer than I thought it would, for sure. But I also I'm just either really bad at that game or I didn't want to. I think at 5 people, it's really hard.
Okay.
Constantly aware. Like when in the first game, I remember like Z-Man being like, "Oh, I know at 2 people like what their things." I'm like, I don't know how you know that,
dude. He's crazy at that game though. He does that shit.
I think he's sitting there thinking about it more, and I was just kind of looking at it, being like, I was more looking at it of, oh, you keep saying yes on desert. Okay, so your thing's probably desert, and then I would kind of go from there. I wasn't. He goes to the bottom, is like, okay, what are the things that are most exclusive? Do you check any of these off? No. Okay, all those are out. You know, he does the normal way you do any sort of logic.
Right, and I think I play closer to you when I'm playing.
Yeah,
because he's constantly looking at that back, and he's like, "It's not this. It's not this. It's not this." We played it again last night because it's pretty quick, and you don't have to at this point we don't have to teach it.
Right. What number did you play at?
3.
3. Okay. Who's there?
Me, Chase, and Z-Man. Okay. And then Lewis was there, but he kind of was just watching before he left.
Okay.
So I won 1. Did we play twice this night? I won 1, and I remember it was just a matter of I'm constantly looking okay, those people can go there. I can kind of and he can't go there, so this spot is probably works. What game is it? In Alchemist, I never do it this way, but you can
you can guess.
Yeah, you can guess for those. Are they guilds or contracts or whatever?
Yeah.
guess for those, and I never do that. I never play that way, but every podcast I hear sounds like that's how other people play the game.
I don't play that way either.
But in Cryptid, I absolutely do because it doesn't cost anything to take the guess.
Right.
And so I'll kind of just go and do that. But dude, I love Cryptid. It's easy enough to play. That it can go by pretty quickly. Yeah, that is funny that at 5 the game starts to I don't think it ever drags, but it definitely is a lot longer.
Right. It's a little chaotic, and towards the end it's always going to drag a little more if you're trying to check, because it's like you said, it's the way the Z-Man is playing, which is the correct way to think about the game. You're going through, you're having to remember 4 other people's things. Okay, that's not all this stuff. That's why I was like, okay, what's the easiest thing? Oh, it's probably this. Instead of thinking of everything it's not, I was trying to think of what it probably is. And then that's the thing of like, I noticed when we would get to a point where someone's like, I can go here, and then everybody but one person can go there. I noticed that'll happen a lot in the same area, and then the place that everybody can go is right in that area too, usually.
Exactly.
So it is like you said, it's like you kind of just take a guess and take a whack at it, and you don't have to know without a doubt that like this is the place they can do it.
Yeah, like even last night, Z-Man was like, okay, like like he was certain. He's like, it's right here. And then him and Chase went there, and I was like, well, I can't go there. And, he's all pissed off. And then once he figured out what it actually was, he was like, oh, fuck. And I definitely have learned to have fun with my cubes. So a lot of times when you have to put a cube down when you have to show a place that you can't go, I'll try my hardest to put them all on one terrain.
That's what I did too. I put like all mine on water or whatever in like one area. So like, I can't go over here.
Yeah, and so then people are like, "Oh, you can't go in water." Like, that's it.
Right, and that was Z-Man in the second game we played. But he was like, "Yours is something about green structures, and mine was about the animal structures or whatever."
Okay, yeah.
And so I was like, "All right, whatever," like. And that's why that's the thing is he makes some mistake along the way because he's 100% certain that he's figured it out. He's like, oh, I figured it out. Like you're this, you're this, you're this. This has to be the spot. And he goes there and someone can't go there. And he's like, wait a second. Well, he can't figure it out. And it's like, that's because you have somebody wrong.
Yeah. I love that though. It's a lot of fun. Man, I'm bummed that we didn't get to play more. But I almost like so I'm kind of torn of like I feel like we should play Feudum again.
No,
I feel like that game would be so much better the second time.
You can play Feudum with like Z-Man and other people. Like I have no interest in playing Feudum anytime soon.
All right. Well, then the next time we can do this big guy.
What's that? Batman?
Yeah.
Oh, did it finally come in? Is that why?
Yeah.
Or you had it for a bit?
No, it finally came in. We played it last night. It was awesome.
Nice.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. Probably, I'm trying to think of what miniatures games I have. Probably one of the better ones. You have Conan, right?
I have Conan.
Apparently it's like the same things with the cubes.
Yeah, same as Mythic Battles Pantheon.
That has the same thing too?
I think it's the same company, yeah.
Oh, it's definitely the same company. It's still Monolith. But just like moving the cubes around is so much fun, and like activating all these guys and doing cool shit. Chase was Robin, and it was just so good. Like after we realized how to like play with the characters, Robin can essentially he doesn't care about elevation, and he doesn't really care about people in the room as long as there's not too many.
Okay.
So Robin can literally like jump into a room, more or less like jump on your shoulders and then jump up to like the next level. Because it's Robin, right? So he's literally just jumping around because he's an acrobat. And so we realized Chase can kind of jump through all these places, get to a computer, he has hacking skills, and then leave.
Oh, that's sick. So
Z-Man and Lewis were Batman and Katana, and they would literally go through these hallways and I was the bad guy, and just wreck my guys.
Nice.
Like Batman, oh my God, is impossible to stop.
Makes sense.
And he rolls red dice, which red dice have so many hits on them, and it sucks. And like Batman and Katana both are such good melee fighters that they had what's called combo ability. Whereas just like in the Arkham games, if they killed a guy, they would get essentially 2 other weaker dice to roll to hit someone else in the room.
Okay.
So thematically, you know, like that thing where like they're punching me and then they turn around and like hit the other guy with their elbow or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So they were literally going to these rooms, clear them. Robin would come in, hack, and then they would just keep going. And they were just mowing my people down.
That's sick.
It was a lot of fun, man. A lot of fun. I made it. So I made it to the last round, but they did end up winning. The scenario we played was I was the Joker and I had some city official on chains, lowering him into a vat of acid.
Okay.
Fitting. And they had to go to these different computers and turn it off. And then I had to turn it back on. But if they turned off enough computers, then I couldn't turn it back on.
Okay, cool. That's cool.
It was dope. It was dope. And then they ended up killing Joker, which I was really pissed off about. It was rough. It was rough. It was a lot of fun though.
It sounds like fun. It sounds like a really cool game.
All right, man. So next time we see you is going to be October.
Maybe Gen Con.
Oh yeah, sorry. Obviously, you'll see you at Gen Con. We'll play some more games there.
We'll see. I still haven't talked to Shorty about it. So
really?
Yeah, and I feel like even if everything's paid for, I feel like there's a possibility that she would still say no.
Oh, dude, you gotta come.
I'm gonna try to. I don't know how to bring it up in a way of being like, here's the thing, everything's gonna be paid for. You know, like I don't have to buy my ticket or flight or whatever. Yeah. And I'll be gone for a few days. I don't know how to say that to her and her not be like, not like it, you know?
Like she wouldn't like you being gone for 3 days?
No, I think it's the idea of like all the other expenses of like me buying food or me doing whatever, you know, and then me not working. I just have a feeling she wouldn't like it.
All right.
Like, well, why are you doing this? So I don't know. I need to bring it up to her probably soon.
Do you want me and Eric to talk to her, or would that be worse?
No, probably definitely not.
We want to surprise Stay-In with this.
Definitely not Rico right now.
Okay, what if I said something like, "Hey, like I really want to surprise Alfie with this present for, you know, I don't know, whatever, your birthday or wedding, whatever you want me to say."
Yeah. I don't know. I'll let you know.
You let me know, man. Because you could phrase it that way of like, dude, the guys want to do this for me, like.
Mm-hmm. I've just taken the bar earlier that week of like it might be good for me to like get away for a couple days.
Yeah, like I don't know, how you know Ariel better than us, so like whatever however you phrase it, but like, you know, ultimately we want you to come.
Right, I want to come.
And I know you do, but like we want you to come and we want to give this to you because we want you there.
Right. You
know, like this isn't about you like gallivanting away with your bros.
Right, and I think that's that's a good way to put that. It's not about me trying to like just go hang out with friends. It's like it's kind of like a big, almost like a bachelor party in a way for me.
Right, and like, dude, like this could be the last time we see Mark.
Yeah, true. Oh God, I hate.
You know, like
like
Mark said, that one of the only reasons he's coming to Gen Con is because he's not gonna, like, most likely not gonna go next year.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. I'll let you know. All
right. So either way, I'm assuming next week we'll have something to talk about.
Yeah, we'll find some time to talk about. I think Wednesday or Thursday I'll be available. Wednesday works pretty well too. If Wednesday works well for you.
All right, just let me know, man. Hopefully it doesn't suck that bad, but here's hoping.
Yeah. No, it'll be okay.
All right, man. Talk to you later.
See ya.
Bye.